In light of recent controversies surrounding JiDion and the way that he had handled, or I should say mishandled, a botched sting attempt on EDP-445, where there was an actual 15-year-old at the time getting groomed by EDP that was working alongside JiDion, I felt it pertinent to try to better understand a different side of this story. And that has to do with one of JiDion's Discord moderators, Inside, who was involved in some aspects of the sting, including a pretty brutal clip where he says that he had told Kayla, the 15-year-old, to lead on EDP. I ended up reaching out to Inside over Twitter, and he ended up accepting my offer to do an interview with him. And I learned a lot from this interview. I don't necessarily want to spoil it, but I will leave timestamps marking more significant parts of this interview. For instance, him addressing what he had said on that stream and where that actually might have originated from. But it's also helping outline what his actual role in JiDion's Discord was, what his role was in content creation, etc. One last thing before the interview gets started, if you'd like to hear my full analysis or conclusion, my thoughts about Inside and his kind of testimony here in this interview, stick around to the end. Again, I will leave a timestamp towards the end of the video, calling it my analysis, whatever. But without further ado, here is the Inside interview. First off, thank you for even being willing to chat with me and kind of go over some of the stuff that's been percolating, I guess, today, and kind of over the JiDion stuff. If you just want to introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Inside. I handled like some of JiDion's stream stuff and his Discord stuff for a few years back during when the EDP stuff happened.
And to clarify for people, there was some kind of stuff being thrown around. Specifically, Kayla was saying that you were potentially his manager, but also, you know, like the other stuff. What did you officially do?
I mostly handled like Discord stuff and then like different community interaction things like talent shows for streams. Like I didn't do any like of his YouTube stuff or anything like that.
Okay, so you were not his manager any way, shape, or form.
Right. I just handled like, you know, helping him build like a core audience of like the most loyal people, just small type of audience. It wasn't like an overall manager. I didn't have any like major role or any like input into his content at all for any of his videos on his main channel.
Let's just walk through that day to the best of your memory, because you said this was 3 years ago at this point, right?
It was like 3.5. It's going on 4, I think.
Okay.
Because that was what, June 2023. So it's just over 3. Yeah, just over 3.
The day that Kayla had come forward, was that the same day that you had this voice call with her?
I think the voice call was a week after she started talking to EDP. I believe. I think it was June 27th or 28th that we had the call. And it was because somebody in the Discord pinged me. Actually, someone DM'd me and was like, "Yo, Inside, we caught EDP. Join the call now." And I can send you a screenshot of that.
Yeah.
And so I joined the call. She's like telling us all about the EDP thing pretty early on into the call. Actually, here, how in depth should I go in? Should I just like
as much as you can
describe it?
Truly, yeah.
Okay. So join the call. She's like describing some of the things that he's saying, and somebody relays me some of the screenshots of what EDP had told her, and I was like, bro, this is so like the first like 5 to 10 minutes of the call, I'm like half paying attention because I'm like looking through all this information that I just been sent.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Kayla who sent me the information, it was somebody else. I can't find their specific Discord, but I don't have any DMs with Kayla, so I know somebody else sent me the screenshots.
And just
as
real
soon
quick,
as
I think for the sake of that, could you just quick stream and just show you going to those messages, like to show that you don't have any with her?
All right, so here's the group chat with Skeeter, JiDion, and Kayla. JiDion says, "Hey Kayla, let me get the screenshots." JiDion called Kayla without me. I missed the call, so I think it says something different when I joined
in later.
But here's some screenshots from the EDP's
and what's that
Instagram.
First one, yeah.
Oh yeah, the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah.
And I just copied her user ID. Well, I'll just make sure that that's pasted
totally
in
there.
there.
Yeah, there's no messages between you two.
Yep, no messages. Don't have her added. The only time I had her added was to add her to that group chat that you just saw.
Talking about how you had received the screenshots and stuff from somebody else, not even Kayla. Do you still have those? Was it kind of stuff that's already been shared around, like the message from Instagram, things like that?
I think almost all the screenshots are public.
Okay. Okay.
Here, I can actually just I have them in the DMs with JiDion because I
Okay.
relayed them to him.
Right.
So I'll have to go through here. I don't know. I can't find this specific person.
You're
They may
totally
have
good.
deleted their Instagram or unsent them or something like that. Or not Instagram, Discord.
Cool.
But I think all of these screenshots are public already. And then this was July 2nd. So, hey, inside, we caught EDP.
Oh,
Getting VC now.
Okay.
So this was June 28th. So yeah, that was when I got on the VC and the VC was recorded.
Okay.
And I'll send you the VC recording of that. And then I think I DM'd JiDion like the next day on the 27th.
Okay.
Or no, not the 27th, the 29th.
That happens. You had hopped in the call. You said, were the messages like, so she was talking about it that night. Were the messages shared that evening, or were they relayed to you on the day that you relayed them to JiDion?
They were sent to me during like right as that call was happening. I joined and then someone in the call relayed me the messages. I don't see them in our DMs anymore. So I don't know if she deleted them or if it was somebody else who sent me the DMs or the messages. I believe I sent JiDion like all the videos and screenshots via text like the next day.
Okay.
And then he wanted them on Discord, so I have them sent on Discord a couple days later.
When did the call happen between him, Skeeter, Gene, Kayla, and you?
I wasn't in the call, but let's see.
You didn't join later?
No, I didn't. No, I was never in
you
that
were just
call.
added to the group.
Yeah. It says
okay.
that was before Skeeter was in the call. So it was JiDion and Kayla. That was just I don't know what they talked about. I think he has some of the recordings of that on his response. Actually, he has the recording of that.
What was the date?
That was July 2nd at 1 p.m. 2023.
Okay, so the same day that you had sent over the photos.
Yeah, it was the same day.
Same day. Okay.
Same day. Yeah.
So that happens. You have, and then there's this one Discord call that's been. I think it was shown in JiDion's response.
Yeah.
This was a 40-ish minute call where someone in the group, you don't remember who, but someone started recording just about like was she in the call when it started?
Yes, I think she was in the call when it started. I wasn't in the call.
Okay.
I joined like 4 or 5 minutes into the recording, and then I left like before the recording ended.
Oh, girl, playing games. Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you to be. Get attention.
I'm tired as
Oh,
fuck,
no.
bro.
The fuck?
I can't stay up for EDP.
Overthinking.
Yo.
I don't blame you.
Yo.
What were y'all talking about?
Talking about the social
I'll be
economical
right.
state of the world right now.
Are they trying to fuck little EDP?
We're talking about the submarine.
Your claim here is that this is like truly the one and only interaction outside of being added to that group call, which you didn't pick up for. This is your only interaction that you had with Kayla.
Yep, correct.
The reason I'm bringing this up, of course, is because of the clip from Turkey Tom's video, which I'm going to play now.
Because he ghosted us on that interview, bro.
Oh, shout out to Inside.
I'm just so happy that this worked out, bro.
Wait, here, Inside.
I'm so happy this worked out.
So everybody doesn't think, I paid this girl. Can you tell them what happened?
Okay, so basically, Kayla messages me whenever he starts DMing her, and she's like, "Yo, EDP is DMing me," and so we got on a call, and I was like, first off, make sure you tell your parents, tell the police, all that kind of stuff, and then I was like, "Yo, I have a fire idea for a video. What if you just lead him on for a little bit, so that and then I'll tell JiDion all about this, and maybe JiDion can get an IRL interview with EDP because he ghosted us on the online one." So she literally just came up to me and she was like, "Yo, he's DMing me," and I'm pretty sure it was because he saw her in the chat or something and saw her Instagram was linked to her Discord account. But she showed me the chat logs and he messaged her first. So, and I sent over the full call recording.
Perfect. Okay. With this clip, to kind of get like the important bits out of the way, there have been some tweets. I'll show one up of like one of your replies saying that this was taken out of context and misrepresented. From the beginning of it, seems very clear that you and JiDion are both clearly talking about Kayla. That seems to be the situation there. Now you're claiming that there was only this call that you had with her, which again, you just sent me, was this one. You enter during the call and leave during it. However, in this, clip of you, it sounds like you are saying that she had sent the messages to you directly. It sounds like you had that interaction. And of course, obviously saying it would be a fire content idea to have a minor lead on a pedophile. So
that's what it sounds like.
Right. What's your side of it?
That interview or the JiDion stream clip, that was I don't know exactly how long ago after the situation it was. It was 2, 3, maybe 4 months after. I'm not really sure why I said half of that. The first part, I think I genuinely thought that I had the idea, but then going back and looking at that actual video recording of the call, it was Kayla who had the idea. It wasn't me. At best, I'm taking her video idea. But the second part about me saying leading her on, I was going to say something about getting a decoy or something. I'm not sure exactly what I was thinking at that moment, but it was definitely a big, big misspeak because looking back at the call, I definitely didn't tell her to lead him on or anything like that.
The issue with it being a misspeak is that it's like, again, it's very clear from what it sounds like that you are talking about getting a content idea. Was there a headspace you were in at that time where it was like you were focused on the content of it?
I wasn't really ever like involved in like his actual like content of his main channel. So I think it was more of like just I'm getting like really excited, like, man, I actually like contributed to like main channel stuff or, you know, and it was like also the pressure of getting called up onto that stage in front of, minimum 50,000 people were in that live stream, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that there were more at that time, but I had to speak quickly and like not take my time because I usually struggle to come up with like I'll freaking right now is an
Yeah.
struggle to come up with the words with what I'm trying to explain things in. I think it was just a mixture of like the adrenaline and then like being called up and like I hadn't been thinking about the issue at all for the last couple of months until he like addressed it like that day. So it was like not fresh in my mind. And no, it sounds very bad. And I definitely put my foot in my mouth at that point. And I mean, it's probably not even a good thing for me to even like think of saying that.
Do you regret that now? Like looking back and
Yeah.
kind of being in that headspace?
Yep.
Like,
I think that one clip is like the one thing that everybody has seen and everybody's like linked me to, and they haven't seen like all the other context and like clips of me telling her to not talk to EDP. And
I think the issue is how it's worded, how you talk about it in that call.
Yep.
You're saying she talked to me, she sent me stuff. It implies that something happened that isn't outlined in the call that exists that people can see because it sounds private, right? Like you've shown me there's no messages that have been exchanged between you two. I see that, but coming from it from an outside perspective, I think it's understandable why people look at this clip and even having the additional context of those calls, it sounds like you're referring to something else.
I could see how people would think that. It could have even like just me saying all of that on the stream could have even been kind of like an ego thing. Like, I was like, man, because at that point I thought that I had the idea.
Yeah.
And, I was just caught up in the moment, super like proud that, man, I might actually be the guy that, puts EDP behind bars. Like this guy's been running free for so long. Like, and it was just such a hype moment. And I was just definitely not thinking straight. Realistically, like in a stream, like I definitely had like my content style brain turned on and, hyping things up, exaggerating things in that context, because it sounds boring when you say, yeah, I told JiDion that EDP was messaging this girl. Like,
yeah,
that sounds really boring for a stream. And so I guess in my mind I was like, man, I've got to say something more exaggerated, more elaborate than that. And so I guess I said the first thing that came to my mind that involving that situation, which is kind of messed up.
A bit.
It's definitely a mistake.
I would agree. Now I'm taking a pause here because upon further review of the Discord call that had been recorded in JiDion's server, I was able to find something interesting. A clip where it seems pretty clear that Inside is coaching Kayla, and it seems like his goal was to try to make it clear that he wanted EDP oblivious to the fact that they were sending this information to JiDion and they were trying to set up a sting. You could even say it sounds like he was telling Kayla to lead EDP on, but not in a sexual way, which seemed to have been the implication based off of the stream clip I had shown you guys prior. This is that call. Thank you again for sending it to me, and we're at 52 minutes into it.
He lives in Vegas, but he urged me 3 times to come to San Diego.
What the fuck?
Like,
Wait,
he
are you
wants
sure it's not
me
a
to...
troll ADP account?
Nah, just
It's
be
not
like,
trolling.
just be like natural about it. Be like slightly skeptical, like, oh
Yeah.
and then eventually like So if you seem too eager and bring it up too much, like meeting up or whatever, then he'll get suspicious. But if you're like skeptical and like hold back for a while, if you're like, I mean, it's just a far out idea. I'm not saying anything will happen about it, but I'll suggest it to JiDion. It's up to him if he really wants to do anything about it. He might not. It would be a fire video idea, but I don't know if he
Yeah.
actually wants to like set up something like that.
I would say that I mean that is you like telling her to lead him on, but not in a sexually explicit matter, not in like an intimate matter. But it sounds like you were trying to say lead him on into like believing that she would fly out to San Diego to meet him. You're telling her to be natural, to which is like continue messaging him. That is what that is. It happens. That's what you're doing. You were thinking about the content. You're talking about how fire it would be. But I think a lot of people are assuming, based off her saying that and based off of what you said in your clip, that the leading on meant something sexual. But it seems like the lead on was what you were referencing when you were talking on stream with JiDion, trying to get him to think that nothing is wrong and that this San Diego thing might happen. And then you wanted to have the sting, show up in San Diego. Like you want to do the sting in San Diego.
I think what was happening is, I'm like, at that point, I'd just been sprung all this information. I'm like, I don't know if this is real EDP or not. Like, I don't know what to do. And in the context, I did tell her, just don't talk to him. Like, I think there's a clip of me in that video, if you can put that in there, where I'm telling her, yeah, just say you have to like go to sleep or something and then just disappear. No, just say, yo, it's getting late. I have to go to sleep now, and then just disappear. I wouldn't want her to do anything that would like jeopardize a police investigation or even a JiDion video if, he wanted to catch EDP. Because at that point, I was thinking, JiDion, he has the resources, the police connections to actually get EDP arrested versus potentially being a lower chance. In my mind, I thought she'd already reported to the FBI because earlier in the video, we walked her through the FBI tip line and told her exactly what to send into the FBI tip line and everything.
Right. The argument back to that would be that's where it was done, right? Authorities got contacted. We got to go hands off, right? This is obviously not the same way that you would handle a situation arising now.
Yeah, I'd probably be more careful with like how I worded things, but like I was fairly certain at that point that it was EDP, but there's still like that small piece like thinking, is it like there could be someone, impersonating like because he didn't have like verified checkmark or anything. I mean, obviously,
right, but is that
banned,
small piece of doubt something that justifies telling Kayla to continue talking to him and telling her how to speak to him?
No, of course not. No. At that point, I'm like, I don't know like the protocols. Like, are they supposed to just block them like cold turkey or? I don't know. Like I was gonna let like the police or whoever was investigating or whoever she reported it to like make that call. Like, and as far as I knew, like someone was gonna take over communication if anything happened of it. I was thinking, oh well, JiDion's gonna take over communication or whatever.
Do you mind me asking, how old were you at the time of this?
I think I was 18 or 19.
How long had you been working?
So I
with JiDion
was
at that
pretty
point?
young. I think about 2 years.
Okay. With that being said, and you're talking about kind of like you really didn't have much involvement there, but you've been working with JiDion for a couple of years there. How do you feel, generally speaking, about the fact that even with these red flags that were shown of Kayla not handing over communication to JiDion and Skeeter, this situation where she like clearly wanted, clout from this, like in the call that you're in with her, she's like, I'm okay with being the decoy. I want to do these things. In that situation, you ended up hopping on the stream, talking about this stuff. You were cool with it at the time of like, turning this into content. Has that perspective changed since then?
Yeah, I would say yes, because at that point, like when I'm on the call, I didn't know anything about the situation more than like the public did at that point. Like I didn't know what had gone on behind the scenes with JiDion, Skeeter, and Kayla. So I had no clue if they were using a decoy, and I didn't know if they were actually even speaking to EDP or anything like that, or how the status of the case is. I didn't have any information about that at the time when I was
Wait, sorry. So you were
JiDion
fully in the dark, like outside of truly your involvement in the live streams, like the clips from that, and then the like sending the messages to EDP, and then the call that you're in with Skeeter. Like they didn't give you any updates after that about it?
No, I didn't have any updates. The only update outside of what was public is when they were about to go like confront EDP in person. He told me to like keep an eye on the Discord and everything, make sure people aren't like leaking anything about them catching EDP or whatever.
Okay.
That's the only like behind the scenes access that I had beyond my initial involvement. At that point, like whenever I was sending over the information, I wasn't like caught up super closely in the lore of like Skeeter. So it was my impression that, Skeeter had a lot of law enforcement partners and that he could probably, if he handled that with JiDion, that he could probably, make something happen a lot more reliably and maybe actually get EDP caught and put in bars versus, somebody sending in like a 15-year-old sending in a report to a local police department. So I was just thinking maybe, if JiDion and Skeeter got involved, they would have more pull with law enforcement. So now that I know more about like the history of like Skeeter and everything and how he used to do those stings, I know now that he didn't fully include law enforcement till like towards the end of his stings. At that point, I thought he did. In my mind, I thought that, the law enforcement were going to be involved like immediately and it was all going to, they were going to like work with law enforcement throughout the whole thing. But I guess that's not what actually happened. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know any of the behind the scenes details.
With your role in being a part of the Discord, a few weird things had popped up. For instance, this Cope and See the tweet. I looked in, didn't find any records that his account was even in the server. So this is from this message. I didn't know if he was ever in the server at all. The plan, as far as I knew, was the interview was in a private call, and after the private call, they'd open a channel in the Discord where people could ask him questions. We never even got to the interview part, so there's a chance he never was in the server to begin with. I looked and I didn't find any records that his account was even in the server. So what was this coming from?
So I looked in the Discord server, like I searched up his like account name and I didn't see it specifically. But then after I tweeted that, I realized that I think JiDion had gone through and like locked down the Discord. And so I didn't have any access to like the lobby or any like message histories. So I wasn't actually able to see every channel. So from where I could see in the server, he hadn't been there, but there's channels that are locked that have like his join message and like his message in the lobby, but I don't actually have permission to view that history anymore.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
when I tweeted that, I'd done a cursory search just real quick, just I was like, wait, hold up. Was he even in the server at all? I don't know. And then I check and I didn't see anything with like just a quick search. And so I tweeted that. And then I realized, oh wait, I don't have access to this. So he actually was in the Discord.
So that was just, you don't have permission
that was
to
just
view the message
me.
history.
Yeah, I just didn't have permission to view the history.
This does make sense because you had mentioned like you guys aren't working together anymore. Do you have the same perm access that you did when you were working under him?
I did up until probably like last week whenever whenever he was getting screenshots of all that. I think he just locked it down for everybody.
Okay.
So I don't think like any staff member has access to the main. I think it was just to prevent people from like deleting the old messages or anything like that. So for the clip, that specific clip, I didn't have access to like the full like VOD or recording. And as I like whenever I was tweeting that, I was in my mind, I thought that there was some sort of like extra context after that. I thought that I'd like corrected myself or said something about it being a decoy. But I guess I didn't now that I've seen the archived VOD. I haven't had access to that until today.
Okay. Totally fair. I just appreciate you being honest about it. Now, let me go over this message. I think it's important because of how this ended up getting shared. But this individual said, okay, and you realize that inviting EDP possibly led to Kayla getting DM'd by EDP on Instagram, right? You do know JiDion added 2 different clips together from different contexts to make it look like she was DMing EDP before he joined the server. But the messages and screenshots line up to it being the 23rd of June, which was a Friday. Inviting EDP to the server based off the evidence alone led to EDP predating on a minor, and you also failed at removing the minor from the situation in JiDion and Skeeter Gene, et cetera, et cetera. The main thing, and I know that people are kind of getting into the semantics of that EDP was first messaging her off of Instagram. Was it the move to bring EDP into the server?
I actually didn't even know that EDP was going to be in the server. Like, in the actual server itself up until I think he'd posted something in his server, like made an announcement like a couple hours before, interview with EDP, like Q&A afterwards. And I was like, oh, this is the first thing that I had heard about a Q&A. And I wasn't the one that made like the voice channel for the Q&A. I believe somebody else did that, but I saw a voice channel appear in the server for the Q&A. I may be remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was marked as an NSFW channel, which Discord has a age verification that you have to verify your age being over 18 to join that channel. However, that still doesn't like justify him being on the server at all. If it were left up to me, I would have just done it in a private call, but I didn't make the call to invite him to the Discord server.
Yeah, I also run a Discord server, or I have a Discord server, I should say, and I advertise it as 18 and up. Obviously on Discord, number one, it doesn't matter who's joining. EDP can see who's in the server and reach out to people. But secondly, you can never be 100% certain that everyone that's, engaging with different people on a server are going to be like for sure 18 years old. That's why, like, for my Discord, I don't post any NSFW content. I'm not cool with any of that because it's just you can never know for certain. So
Exactly.
the situation, like literally bringing a predator into a server for any reason, it's putting those children at risk. And I think that people have had an issue with how JiDion has responded to that. Like, he has finally been like, yeah, that was not a good idea, but it's just kind of more like whenever this gets brought up, it's like, well, but he didn't meet her on the server. He met her on Instagram prior, which sure, but we're arguing about something that isn't what people are upset about, which is bringing a predator onto the server.
I didn't have any involvement in that. It was a horrible idea to bring him into the server in the first place. I don't know. That's a question for JiDion as to why we did a Q&A in the server.
Here, your replies to someone was talking, so it was about a TikTok thing. It seemed a bit strange, but I want to focus on your response. It says here, like I said, primary goal was to get EDP arrested. Of course, it would have gotten a lot of views, but that wasn't the priority. What's wrong with telling JiDion that video would get views, assuming this isn't a doctored screenshot? You don't recognize these messages here?
There is a possibility that could be a real screenshot, but I mean, that TikTok username isn't my username, and that's an Android, and I've had an iPhone since 2020.
Even if this is real, like I don't really have an issue with what you're saying here. You're content brained. I get that. My focus is this. Like I said, the primary goal was to get EDP arrested. Of course, it would have gotten a lot of views, but that wasn't the priority. I would disagree that the primary goal is to get EDP arrested. If that was the case, it would have been contacting law enforcement, getting this information over to them. Even if we knew that EDP was like contacted for it, or, even just saying, hey, to do predator catching, Skeeter Gene, like this is something we do, blah, 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 giving that additional context and just getting this to the right source. That, for me, and I think for a lot of people, that is making sure that this is not a content priority.
I should have worded that as like my goal was getting him behind bars, because at that point, I thought that Skeeter and JiDion had a much better chance of getting him behind bars if they were the ones reporting it to the police. And to my knowledge, that it had already gone to law enforcement like the day that I told them about it. I don't know if they actually approached law enforcement about it until later on, but that was my advice to Kayla. And then as far as I knew, it had been done. I'm not benefiting directly at all from JiDion making a video or not making a video about it. I don't get paid more or less based on how well that video does, I was completely like uncompensated. Like, I didn't gain anything from that video.
You did a bit, right? Because you're getting rapport with your boss here. Like because we talked about earlier, like with the stream, you were hyped up, and like the reason that you potentially just shoved your, foot in your mouth and kind of lied about the situation, at least like what you're claiming here, was because it was going to look good for you. You were going to have like, a presence, or like you had assisted in some type of way on a main channel video.
I wouldn't even say if it was like rapport, because like at that point, like, I mean, we weren't like best friends or anything, but at that point, we were decently good friends, like behind the scenes, and we would hang out off stream sometimes and like play Fortnite or whatever.
You said you had been working with him at that point for 2 years?
Yeah, it's I started in 2021 and this is 23, so maybe a little over 2 years at that point.
Okay, fair point. You never were claiming that the police report was fake from Kayla?
Right, that's something that JiDion said, and he made a stream, I think it's private now, but he was talking about that in a stream. He said that he called the police and the phone number was disconnected, and then he called a police department and that the report number didn't go through. After that, after Kayla said that she actually, I guess there's DMs in Kayla's video about it, like her messages to JiDion, he went back and did more research and went in more depth to try and find the exact police station that she'd reported it to. And he finally found the actual report. But I think she was, misremembering it, thinking that I was the one who said that for some reason. But it was JiDion who said it on his stream about it being a fake report.
I'd
I don't know
heard
if
that
it's
Kayla had said that, so I wasn't for sure. That wasn't like a confirmed thing for me, but other people had mentioned, yes, he did have this stream, and hearing it from you, he did have this stream claiming that it was fake.
Yeah, I don't think he even claimed it was fake. He just implied that he's like, I don't know if this is real. I called the number and it was disconnected. I don't think he ever claimed it was fully fake or anything. He just,
Not
cast
verbatim,
doubt
but
on it.
yes, I get you.
Yeah, he just cast doubt on it.
Okay. There was a tweet that you deleted, I think today, correct?
Yes.
And so this tweet was you saying, was a bit of luck too. It's wild how EDP just decided to hit on someone from the Discord. We took full advantage of it. I'm going to read this because people were saying stuff like this. You thought it was low-key chill to have JiDion invite a pedophile to a server that has and allows minors, and then go to Twitter, say how you guys took advantage of the situation with Kayla and that it would be good content in the TikTok with JiDion. Yeah. You said you're reading too much into it. JiDion wanted EDP behind bars. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why did you end up deleting the tweet?
Well, initially, deleting it because people are taking it out of context, and that I guess it was 3 years ago or whatever.
Mhm.
And having like EDP actually have been in the Discord is not a great look, and it wasn't my call, but it's still not a great look because I was a manager there.
I don't really think that there is a whole lot to this tweet. It like truly. So, we're going off the assumption that he did hit someone up in the Discord. It's wild how he decided to hit on someone. I think obviously bringing a predator into the Discord of someone who is like trying to, get him in a sense, it would sound a bit ridiculous for EDP to reach out to someone there because they would probably just tell JiDion. It does look bad. That I would say that's the worst piece of this is it's wild how he just decided to hit on someone from the Discord. And then you saying we took full advantage of it. I don't see there being an issue of you saying, we got evidence or we're going to do something with it. We took advantage of the fact that he was so brazen about this. I don't really see that as an issue either.
To me, it was kind of shocking that he would reach out to someone like in the Discord of like JiDion. He could have just hit some random people up and nobody ever would have known. But then he hit up people like in the Discord. I still think that is kind of wild.
This part here, Kayla apparently sent messages to EDP first. Several of her friends contacted us afterwards and told us that Kayla had shown them screenshots that showed her hitting EDP up first. You said that they had screenshots of this. Did they ever show you those screenshots? What was the situation with this here?
I didn't see the screenshots. I don't remember if it was screenshots or if they said that they were in a call like actively with her screen sharing whenever she like messaged EDP for the first time. But there were like two people in the Discord like community who tried to. I don't have access to the Discord, and I tried to find those messages like of them pinging me in the main chat about it, but I couldn't find specifically them. But they did join a VC that I was in at one point, and they're like, Kayla's hit him up first, right? I didn't know the people. I didn't see the screenshots or like videos of it, but they said that they'd seen it with their eyes.
And these were
that was
friends of Kayla's, or these were people from the main Discord? Like
there were people in the Discord who apparently like hung out with Kayla like in calls or something. I'm not sure exactly who they were. That's all I heard about it. And that's when I like started kind of being like, huh. And then I realized that EDP sent the message to her like days after he'd been banned, and I was like, wait, this might actually like mess up the investigation if she actually hit him up first.
Did you do anything with that knowledge, or?
I just told JiDion that I'd heard rumors that she'd messaged EDP first, and then I pointed out that that she got messaged a couple days after he'd been banned, and I was like, I don't know if this is anything, but it's worth keeping an eye on because this could throw a wrench in the investigation if you try and get him arrested.
It seemed like you were speaking with authority there, that you like had gotten some like these screenshots and stuff. So you'd say definitively, do you know if JiDion ever received screenshots of this or anything of the matter? Like they didn't send them to you, like you said, so you weren't actually 100% confirmed.
To my knowledge, I don't think it ever was 100% confirmed.
The only other issue that I see with that is the reason that people had pointed that out is because of the contradiction of you also saying on stream, she had shown me EDP had messaged her first. Were you referring to the screenshot that's been going around of like that JiDion showed in his video of the message sup?
Yeah, that's at that point in that video, I to my knowledge, EDP had hit her up first. I probably shouldn't have said it so strongly in a Discord, in a comment on YouTube. Like, it kind of seemed like it was fact, but in my mind at that point, it seemed very likely.
Okay.
That was just a chronological discrepancy. That wasn't an actual like contradiction.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I want to be clear. I'm not like accusing Kayla of lying or anything about EDP hitting her up first. That's just, you know, something that I've been skeptical of. It's not confirmed, so I'm going to treat it like she's telling the truth.
I don't think most people have an issue with recognizing that Kayla has been manipulative and disingenuous over the course of this. The biggest issue is that when it comes down to when the situation was first going down, when she was communicating back and forth with EDP, it was a matter of making sure that this went to law enforcement and that it didn't go to the hands of a predator catcher. And at that point, it didn't matter if Kayla was lying or being manipulative or choosing not to give the reins of communication over to them. It's a matter of when that happened, they still continued on. They still wanted to make content. And it doesn't matter what she was trying to do at that point. It was their job as the adults to say no and walk away from that, tell her to contact authorities and be done with it. Right.
Yep. And if I had any control or any input, if they hadn't gone to the police already and I knew that, I would have probably sent everything I had to the police. I trusted that they would take care of it.
I think that covers everything that I had questions on. Thank you very much for, at the very least, being willing to chat with me and talk about
No
this
problem.
stuff. Now that brings the interview to a close. I know it was a bit messy. It was kind of jumping back and forth. It was very clear that Inside was pretty anxious about it. He had made mention that he had been receiving death threats, and from what I understand, probably the first time that he has experienced something like this. Now, a lot of points in here of him defending himself or some of the claims made about like the YouTube comment and not actually having any evidence of these screenshots where Kayla had apparently sent the first message to EDP, or the clip of him saying that he had spoken to Kayla and told her to lead EDP on. I don't think in some of the instances here in his, interview that there is undeniable proof that kind of exonerates him. However, with that being said, based off of their demeanor over the course of me chatting with them, I'm led to believe that they are being genuine. Over the course of us chatting, Inside was more than willing to show me whatever information that I was asking for the most part. He was happy to work through things with me, and he had made it clear multiple times that he was regretful for how he was acting. Another significant piece of this is it seems very clear that he has not been thinking about JiDion or this sting or his involvement with it for quite some time. And that was made evident not only by his Twitter replies where he was replying to people and kind of freaking out and checking stuff. It does seem like he was making honest mistakes and his memory wasn't serving him right. It seemed in tandem that he made attempts to try to figure out, was EDP even in the server? But in the Discord call, he knows full well that EDP was in the server. I truly think it comes down to his lack of remembering the entire situation verbatim. I think that makes his situation look a bit worse than it actually is. And that is really my read of the guy after chatting with him and kind of going through all of the evidence and stuff that I wanted to talk to him about. It didn't come off like he had an ego or anything, or that looking back, he thought what they did was right. At the time he did, because he believed Skeeter and, JiDion were the cream of the crop at getting people behind bars, and he doesn't feel that way now. So, I mean, that's really, for me, all you can ask for. But I could very much so have a bias. He was very pleasant to chat with, to, figure these things out. So that can, of course, sway me one way or the other. It is truly up to you guys. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. But that is it for this video. If there's any follow-up, of course, I will be sure to cover it. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Hit the like button if you want to get this out in front of more people, perchance a hype afterwards. Also, all of my videos are now on Spotify if you'd prefer to listen to them. I'll put a link down in the description. And if you want to join the Discord, talk news, play games, I will also leave a link for that in the pinned comment. But that's it. We'll see you guys later. Adios. Peace. Bye.